Let's jump right into this explainer because today we are unpacking what is literally one of the most reality-shattering lore drops in the entire history of the Infinitum campaign. If you've been following the Holy Crusaders, you know they've basically been treating Infinitum like this incredibly immersive, massive multiplayer VR game. But today, we are hyper-focusing on the massive, sweeping reveals of Session 19. It is an absolute turning point. Everything we thought we knew about this universe gets completely flipped on its head. So brace yourselves, because the lines between what is a game and what is reality are about to be completely obliterated. We are kicking things off with a genuinely haunting plea. This actually started bubbling up in the previous session, but it fully manifests right here. So Avia, the human player piloting the incredibly powerful brass dragonborn barbarian Antonella, goes to sleep in the real world, but she leaves her VR headset on. Instead of logging out, she drops into this deep REM cycle dream state, and while she is dreaming, an image of her own character appears and speaks directly to her. Think about that for a second. This isn't some pre-programmed NPC dialogue tree. This is a desperate, sentient plea from inside the code, instantly pulling the rug out from under everything the players and us thought we understood about this digital universe.
So, moving into Section 1, A Dream of Reality, the REM Cycle Warning. Let's look at how this bizarre anomaly spirals into a literal game-breaking glitch.
The profound duality happening here is just staggering. They're having this incredibly slow conversation because, remember, they are forced to communicate through the sluggish brainwaves of Avia's REM cycle. And in this dream state, Avia learns that her avatar isn't just a cluster of polygons. She is a distinct, living entity. Her name is Zarelith. Zarelith actually thanks Avia, telling her she appreciates what the players are trying to do by hunting down the 10 crystals. But she also drops some massive intel. She tells Avia that it is safe to meet with the mysterious Dracus, pointing out that the party actually already knows him, just not the real him. Then, right before Avia's real-world alarm goes off and rips her awake, Zarelith says she found something that will help and leaves her with one highly specific warning. She says to trust the Dragonborn Ranger Girl. I mean, imagine the psychological weight of that. You think you are just piloting pixels, but you are actually having a face-to-face conversation with the very soul you have been puppeteering.
And the mystery only deepens the exact moment Avia wakes up and the whole crew logs into the main hub. Now, usually, the main hub features a news bulletin that always, without fail, broadcasts the username of whoever finds one of the highly coveted 10 crystals. But today, the system bizarrely registers the finder of the final crystal as null. That is unprecedented. There is no username, just this eerie, empty data void. It's a literal systemic glitch in a system that, up until this very moment, presented this illusion of absolute, flawless technological control.
The rules of this universe are visibly fracturing right in front of us. When the Holy Crusaders travel back to the medieval server and start heading north on the country roads, Antonella reaches into her pocket, and impossibly the final crystal has manifested right inside her inventory. Not only that, but there's a physical note attached that reads, "This should help. Keep it safe," from Zarelith. Just think about the mechanics of this from a gaming perspective for a second. A character inside the game somehow bypassed the human player's interface, acquired literally the most valuable item in the entire universe, and left a physical, handwritten note for the player piloting her. The team is just utterly flabbergasted. I mean, this completely shatters the known mechanics of Infinitum. It is not a game anymore. It is a full-on rebellion coming from within the code itself.
All right, on to Section 2, Meeting the Freed Souls, Into the Darkness. Because with the final, impossible crystal now secured, our heroes push north.
And this leads to a fateful encounter. At sundown, the party sets up camp and lights a fire. Almost immediately, Zarelith's dream prophecy comes true. A hooded figure approaches the camp, revealing herself as a female Dragonborn Ranger who goes by Spider G 2.0. The players quickly realize she is actually Giada, a human player they rescued way back in the Western Server mines during Session 13. Since their previous ranger is gone, they happily welcome her into the guild. Zarelith's advice literally pays off on day one. Then, nightfall hits. Zato, showing some really awesome character growth, volunteers for First Watch. All of a sudden, the entire area goes pitch black. Since they have fought the Drow before, Zato instantly recognizes this as their signature magical darkness. He boldly yells out into the void, stating that they wish to speak with Dracus. A dark elf steps out of the shadows, throws 8 sackcloth bags at their feet, and demands they wear them so they don't compromise the location of their hidden base. The party agrees. They are led blindfolded, walked in circles for hours to disorient them, until they finally arrive at the Drow base deep into the midnight hours.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Infinitum Revelation, the Red Pill.
You might want to take a breath here, because what Drakis reveals next completely shatters their reality. The blindfolds come off, and the Holy Crusaders find themselves standing in a hidden, underground throne room. And sitting on that throne, Drakis. But the players immediately recognize his face. It's Chrismeister, their former rival who supposedly died in the game. Drakis starts speaking, but he strictly tells them not to call him Chrismeister, because Chrismeister's dead. Then, he drops an exposition bomb of absolute cosmic proportions. He reveals that Infinitum is not a video game. It wasn't created by the Bencheveni Corporation at all. It is actually a highly sophisticated, almost incomprehensible AI that constructs and reforms actual physical planets in a real, living universe. Those custom private servers? They are just empty planets being rapidly terraformed by the AI. Mr. Bencheveni simply discovered a way to interface with this universe using highly advanced mind control technology. He essentially hijacked a living, breathing galaxy and monetized it as a VR playground for unsuspecting humans back on Earth. It is insane.
This creates a genuinely terrifying contrast when you think about their entire existence up to this point. Everything the players thought were just fun, immersive game mechanics are actually horrific acts of cosmic violation. When a human on Earth puts on their VR headset, they aren't logging into a server. They are actively engaging in mind control, physically hijacking the body of a living creature on another planet, and respawning? Oh, it gets worse. When your character dies and restarts at level 1, it isn't just lines of code resetting. Infinitum literally clones the creature's body in the main hub and forcefully transfers the soul from the dead corpse into the brand new clone. Drakis describes this process as excruciatingly painful. The stakes aren't about losing experience points anymore, right? They are about the agonizing physical and spiritual torment of real beings.
So, we basically have to completely redefine what an NPC is in this context. They are absolutely not non-playable characters. They are living, breathing creatures who are trapped as helpless passengers inside their own hijacked minds. Imagine that. Seeing and hearing everything your body is doing, feeling every single blow in combat, but being utterly paralyzed. You are just forced to watch some earthling pilot you like a meat suit. Drakis explicitly states that these beings are worse off than slaves. But here's the incredible twist. Some of these souls possess remarkable willpower. When their human earthling pilot dies in real life back on Earth, these strong-willed souls can actually begin to break free. That is what the system has been recognizing as glitches. Drakis is one of these freed souls. He retained control of his own body after his earthling died. And all the Drow in this underground resistance, they are all freed souls, branded as menaces by the system simply because they reclaimed their own autonomy.
Moving to Section 4, the true villain, corporate greed. The existential dread here is heavy, but we have to understand exactly who is architecting this nightmare.
Because the horrifying twists just keep coming. Drakis reveals the true identity of Genghis Khan, the incredibly overpowered player who has been aggressively hoarding all the crystals. Well, Genghis Khan is actually Mr. Bencheveni himself, the CEO of the company. Now remember William Bencheveni? The CEO's son who was reported dead in real life back in Session 14? Well, William was the human piloting Chrismeister. William wanted to gather the crystals to overthrow his father's corrupt company and stop this madness. But Mr. Bencheveni completely refused to let his intergalactic financial empire fall apart. So he murdered his own son in the real world to maintain absolute control over Infinitum and the crystals. Just let that sink in for a second. This billionaire literally committed filicide to keep his grasp on a hijacked universe. The overarching legend states that whoever holds all 10 crystals controls the Infinitum AI itself, and Bencheveni will clearly stop at absolutely nothing to secure that ultimate godlike power.
This leads us to Section 5, the Crusaders strike back, the heist. Because after processing this devastating truth, Drakis asks them the ultimate question. Will they help free the trapped souls? Unanimously and without hesitation, they agree. They aren't playing a game anymore. They are fighting a literal war for liberation. And this builds into an incredible, highly tactical strike. Drakis informs the crew that Genghis Khan is currently distracted. He is sitting in the main hub, obsessively refreshing the news board, trying to figure out what that null tag means regarding the final crystal. Seizing this absolutely flawless window of opportunity, the party hands the final crystal over to Vala for safekeeping. Then, Captain Dash 2 uses her unique Instaport upgrade to teleport the entire squad directly into Genghis Khan's private server. It is a brilliantly executed heist. They drop in and catch the defenses completely off guard. There are 12 guards total. The Crusaders instantly demolish 8 of them in close combat. The remaining guards sprint for the computer terminals to sound the alarm, but Spider G, Zato, Arya, and Captain Dash 2 snipe them with ranged attacks right at the last second. They corner the final guard, who actually begs for his character's life. Showing true alignment to their new cause, they spare him. This forces the Earthling player to log off out of fear, leaving the Avatar safely in an idle coma.
With the server completely secured, the raid yields a massive success. They loot Genghis Khan's most prized possessions. They find some incredibly powerful gear, including the unique Insta-Hit upgrade, which Antonella equips immediately, making her borderline unstoppable in melee combat. But arguably the most critical find? They managed to steal Genghis Khan's Orb of Scrying. This was the exact artifact he used to track down Chris Meister and steal his crystal earlier in the campaign. By taking it, they have effectively blinded their greatest enemy. He can no longer track the crystals, and he can no longer track the Holy Crusaders.
So after the heist, the Holy Crusaders retreat to Valha's private server to rest. At Antonella's urging, they all decide to go to sleep in the real world with their headsets on, hoping to commune with their characters' souls, just like Avia did. They have blinded their greatest enemy, they hold the elusive 10th crystal, and they are now armed with game-breaking upgrades. But it leaves us with one terrifying final thought to take away from this explainer. What will a ruthless billionaire, a man willing to murder his own flesh and blood, do now that he has been backed into a corner in a universe he claims to own? The game is over, folks. The war for reality has just begun.